Hi, everybody. It's A.U.R.A. Eisenhower. I'm joined today by a wonderful guest who I've interviewed a few times before. Her name is Rising Phoenix Aurora. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, but thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Awesome. She is the founder of A.U.R.A, A.U.R.A, Hypnosis Healing Technique, Quantum Alchemist, and Channel to Ra. Aurora is a quantum alchemist who works with the energies of the collective of hearts upon earth. These very energies and the angelics assisted her in creating Aurora Hypnosis Healing Technique that went past what we thought was not possible, removing entities, negative implants or AI, and reptilian consciousness within people. The intent being to remind people of their infinite love power that is waiting to be recognized and ignited once more for the process of ascension. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so yeah, it seems like a really good timing to have you talk to us today, helping us to kind of see a much, much larger picture. It's really important to talk about this much, much larger picture because it feels like we're kind of like in this like really awkward limbo and nothing's feeling very anchored or grounded, even on a timeline level. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What can you tell us about what you're seeing currently?
Exactly. Well, thank you, Laura, first of all, for having me. As Laura said, I am the founder of A.U.R.A Hypnosis Healing, and basically it's past life regression where the client travels. It's the soul stories, the soul history of the universe. So thank you for having me, and you can find me under risingphoenixaurora.com. Thank you. Well, today what we're going to be sharing is basically, since I am a channel to A.U.R.A, the A.U.R.A Collective, as well as I am also going to be sharing galactic information that we received through these past life regressions as well. So it is, yes, it does feel very much like a limbo. And I would like to begin with when we had the two prior interviews that you had with myself. You had asked me once, basically, what are Archons? So I have the exact answer for you this time around. And I wanted to clarify this first because this actually goes into the whole timeline of what's occurring now. So basically what we have been told through a series of sessions through the past life regressions of we're at over 300 basically in 2 years now, we've been told is Archons are basically artificial beings. There's not even a name for them, but basically they're from an alternate source, from another universe, and they basically contain no light within them as our source, and the infinity of the universes also contain light within them. However, this specific race that we call Archons are basically an absence, a void of light, no light, not of light. So when you're looking at a type of organism like this, if you can call it an organism, because it's not really, but they basically they're in their universe. So there's multiple universes within this. This is where we talk about creation is convoluted. So in their universe, basically they had their own construct. Every universe has a construct. They were within the universe where there basically is chaos beyond an infinity of chaos that you could imagine. It's far worse than we could imagine. As they continue to develop themselves and become extremely intelligent, they continue to become stronger, just as time and space continue to pass. When that happened, basically they created a type of negative technology, and that's what they are. They're artificial intelligence. So they created a specific technology that can rip dimensional with their negative technology, rips through the dimensions, and then they enter into the different universes and dimensions. Now, up until then, we did not know this was possible because, first of all, every universe has a galactic construct and laws of the universe, like the 13 keys, Laura, that you talk about. Like that's what our universe has, the 13 laws of the universe. So that was something that we didn't know was possible. When they came in, it was a surprise, basically, attack. And they've been infringing and harvesting planets from our universe, as well as others, as well as harvesting the light within us, because since they are in absence of light, they get a high off light. And this is why you're seeing all these different, perhaps, superstars, pedophilia, that they feed off light, because they are controlled. Their puppets to the puppeteers of the Archons. See, our universe before this occurred, it was a beautiful balance of polarities, beautiful of light and the dark, where you loved every part of you, every reflection of you, and you adored it, you honored it, and you respected it. And you honored as well the darkness. When you went into the darkness, you understood that only the brightest stars could be shine in the darkness. Within the ether is where we create, and we also souls birth forth from. So they came in and they, with their falsitudes of artificial intelligence, inserted this viral type of virus, is the easiest way I can explain, into the universe. And with that, intellectual, they keep this mind game playing with the matrix that's now inverted here, feeding false paradigms, false programs, false narratives. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
So
talked a lot about the Archons myself, and that definitely, yeah, feels right. I mean, the connection between the AI and you know, even okay, so like relate that to like the reptilians and the Greys.
okay, so I was just about to say that. So basically, with the reptilians, so when the Divine Mother of creation created this beautiful universe, which again, remember, was a balance of oneness of dark and light. So when she created it, she also created a race that was supposed to be the balance of too much light. So therefore, she created the reptilian race. The reptilian race is a benevolent race, was a benevolent race up until what happened with the Archons came in. So the benevolent races of the reptilians, there's many, just like there's many, humans, many cat beings, many bird beings, humanoids. There is also many reptilian races. Now, what happened was that when the Archons came in and they infested our universe, and we're not the only universe that they have infested, unfortunately, there are more. And though creation is convoluted, so we don't know the extremities of how far they've gone. But when that happened is that they came in and they recruited. So similar like how we recruit here, army, military, they recruit younglings. Let's travel the world. You're gonna get to know the world. People are gonna get to know you. So similar like that. That's where it started. And then basically once they agreed, you're signing a contract. You're signing a negative contract. So they basically convinced the majority of reptilians to be their soldiers. And even then, it was on falseness, because they thought that it was something that it was, say, positive. So going back, though, to the Divine Mother, she created the reptilian race because basically they were supposed to feed off axis light in the ether, too much light, and they were supposed to be the balance, the reflection to us, the darkness. So, but then the Archons came in. They saw, as the intellectual beings that they are, they're not organic. They saw something organic like that within our universe, and then they decided to infringe upon that, and they compromised them. The minute they signed the contracts, they went in and they basically made them into these like android reptilian. So when you're communicating to reptilians, we've spoken through the past life regressions, reptilians, that they have no say. They are, as say, a character in a video game, and the Archons basically have all control to their neurological system, to everything that they do, and they control them around like a joystick with the console. They're the console, game console, and then they are the character.
Yeah, gosh. So people hearing this might be like, whoa, it's kind of hard for people to wrap their head around this kind of stuff. But I mean, what can you say exists on the world stage level that, really, kind of validates it? Because, when we're looking at the current world situation, I mean, it's obvious this, deep state is connected with this on some level. So basically what I'm getting is you're saying Archons, inorganic, no light, AI, and they
Exactly.
infiltrated a portion of the reptilian race and
Yes.
recruited them. And then what? We got their hybrids that are trying to run the show here on Earth, or bring us to like kind of what we're dealing with on the world stage level.
So then this could be a long story, but we'll make it as short as possible. So basically, we all came forth upon this simulation. We're all aware that it's a simulation. We're within a matrix simulation. Or originally, it began with an organic simulation. This organic simulation was going to be a beautiful multitude, multifaceted of races. This was the only location on basically that multitude of races could be together. For example, this is an example. Say you have a planet. This planet has a race that basically feeds off, maybe eats grass, we'll say, to nourish themselves. Then we have another planet where they lay on the grass to actually, the grass replenishes them through the light that comes out of the grass. So then you have one race that eats grass, you have another race that lays on grass. This would basically create a disharmony harmonically within that planet. So we wanted to put beautiful pieces of creation, the animal kingdom, the plant life, the humanoids, and the multitude of alien races. So this is why we created this organic matrix originally. The creation created, we did as a collective. So one of the things that we teach is basically understanding that we created this, we're not victims, first of all, and that's when we start learning to self-heal ourselves. And then that's when we step into our power. So what happened with that is then after that occurred, that's when the Archons came in at some point in time and space. When the Archons came in, then that's who basically infringed upon the inverted. And also with the fall of Atlantis, when the fall of Atlantis occurred, basically we became an inverted AI matrix, that we went from a 5D into a 3D, which we're at now. So the same leaders, which we'll just call them B, E, these negative polarized beings, S, F, were the same leaders that we had back then in Atlantis, and they're here again. We're repeating the cycle, but this time we're supposed to stand up against them, and we're not supposed to allow the inverted or the control that's trying to occur.
How much does the sort of Gnosticism about, Sophia falling out of the pleroma and the creation of Archons, how can one sort of make sense out of how they entered the system? And what they kind of originate from, like
the Archons?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, they came in with breaking all laws of our universe and other universes. Okay. And then the way that they come into here is that they cannot incarnate because, first of all, they're not organic. So our Archons, the majority of them look like huge giant spiders. I think that's why a lot of the human collective kind of is scared of spiders. And then they also look like tentacle type beings. So when we're finding them in people, they have spiders in them. They have nano type of spiders in them. They have tentacles stuck through them and then into their energy body. So in their energy body, they have these attachments. So then once that they stick their tentacle basically through your mind, they could basically just sway you. And of course, they also have negative implants and hooks and these portals that they put in people's energy bodies. And then that's how, so the only way that they could come in here is through us, through our mind, by us consenting in all sorts of ways. But because they're extremely intellectual, they do it in many manners of tricking. For example, I had a session where there was an elven being. He was an elven being from the fifth dimension on Earth. And what happened was that he was very curious. He was looking up at the UFO and was like, I wonder what that UFO is. So just because he let his shields down, his force fields down, and was curious, to them, that's you consenting for them. So they find ways for you to accidentally consent to them and you don't realize. So the goal with sharing this information is basically we need to become sovereign beings that basically know when to consent and not consent to different energies, basically taking our source energy, our light, and using this force field daily and us becoming creators of our own story every day.
So if this wasn't part of the original plan, it just...
No, never. Archons, no. They're
right.
not of us.
Right.
They're not even of our source.
Right. So it's like an anomaly, but it's like a parasitic type thing that needs some
Exactly.
sense. Um, and if this wasn't kind of a part of the plan, then what is the divine plan? I mean, in order to, I mean, I know it's about, you know, sovereignty, but if even creator beings are sort of blindsided by what's taken place here, I mean, wasn't there like some knowingness that they exist, and there was no preparedness for this? I mean,
According to what we've logged through the Aura hypnosis and the history, the galactic history of our universe, there was a no knowing. Beings that were in higher dimensions, as higher than the 13 dimensions that our construct runs through, in the 15th dimension, that basically were blindsided and they came in and wiped everyone out. So no, we weren't aware of them.
you know, I've heard this too, you know, mind parasites that have destroyed other biological systems coming into this universe. So I actually,
Yes.
I've heard that before from people that have been in secret space programs. And I know it's a lot for people to swallow. I'm sure there's going to be interesting comments of, you know, but I mean, I don't know why it's so difficult. It's like, if we were to look inside of what's going on within our own bodies, you know,
Yes.
all the different things that take place. I mean, the multidimensional cosmos is teeming with all sorts of, you know, interesting things. And then this being, I guess the word anomaly, just a, and so basically it's an imitator, right? The AI is an imitator. And what it's doing is it's giving us a simulation to trick us out of our own divinity and sovereignty. I mean, how do you kind of explain that?
Yeah, so within the simulation that we are in, basically it is, yes, it is keeping us within the false narrative, false paradigm, repeating back over and over. We pass away, we come right back in. We pass away, we come right back in with the same exact, say, bad guys that were originally, though, just like Dolores Cannon used to say, basically they were your friends. You just came up with an agreement, and that they were supposed to help you basically grow. So it's all basically us, our choosing. Everyone chooses to come in here because this universe is free-willed. So that's how that works. Now that we understand basically the Archons, what's occurring right now is that there's a great divide. The Archons basically are playing their game, where it's the game where divide and conquer. So we could say us, the people who are here and who are basically have, say, been here with our love light. You can say that we are say the light warriors, the light warriors on foot. Now what's going on is that, say we have 10 light warriors, so they don't want those, say a squad, let's say, of love light warriors. There's 10 of them. The Archons basically play an intellectual game, constantly downloaded false information. If you do not, say, use for your force fields of love light, and you say every morning when you wake up, you say, I do not consent to your infringements and your artificial, because if you don't, then you are consenting because we are in a lowest density, communal density of many different races, as we talked about. So basically they can send wrong frequencies just through a brain wave, through your neurological system, constantly keeping you in a negative thought form, perhaps being envious to another, hateful to another, judging another, whichever, basically whatever feeds whatever it is that needs to be reflected within you to help heal you. So they do this through the negative technologies out there beyond, say, our planet. And then from there, so what's going on is that since we are being divided, you can say, even in the spiritual community, there was basically a spiritual leader that I was recently brought to my attention, where they were talking about that they were saying that, for example, let's say T, the T, we know who T is.
Yeah, we're talking about the current, the person that has been in the office for the last 4 years.
Exactly. Okay. So that they were saying that basically that he is, perhaps not a light worker, and so on. So what's going on is that we have the Archons just splitting us apart. So and then this light worker was saying that we need proof. We need proof. You know, is there basically this negative timeline that's trying to occur? Let's find proof for that. And, you know, before people are saying for it, right? So what that is occurring though is basically we are heading, so there's two different timelines that are occurring. There's the organic timeline that holds the codex of the Divine Mother Sophia, Divine Mother Magdalene, the daughter of the flame, Cleopatra, Isis, basically Kuan Yin, Kalima, all these Divine Mother fractalizations. So basically they are the organic codex of holding space for Earth and its organic timeline. So what happened right now is that, as we've seen, there is false votes that have occurred within the voting. So what the A.U.R.A explains to me is that when you are trying to decide, it is as basically if you vote for the B and you are within that timeline, you are basically, that's a negative timeline that you would be aligning yourself. But if you vote for, you know, or align with the T, that is a positive, most positive ascension timeline. So with that is that there is, you can, if you're able to read energy, you can read the energy, or anyone really can. What we teach is basically everyone can read energy, whether it's through a gut feeling, through an emotion, through an intuition, or just a knowing. But you can read the falseness to be, and you could also sense, I mean, you know, he's definitely pedophilic. I mean, he talks about, you know, kids groping his hair, and he likes kids sitting on his lap. I mean, who says that? So, you know,
Well,
so
yeah,
with that,
there's so much more evidence, but
yeah,
you can see it leaking out in
you
pictures.
can.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's not just that, because they can target anybody with like taking something out of context, or
Mhm.
making a picture look worse than it is because of maybe the tone of it or the words that are attached to it. But there's so many layers, and then the laptop, of course, you know, is real significant for validating that absolutely he's caught in that
The
dark
rings.
energy. He's caught in that dark energy. And the thing is, it's not political. You know, when we talk about this, it's not political. We're talking about timelines. And
Exactly.
unfortunately, in this lower 3D world, we can't escape the fact that we do have a person that sits in office. We can't just wish that away, right? So, I mean, this election is crucial in this sense. So, yeah, take us back into all this.
So this is what we're talking about, timeline wars, basically. So I'm not talking about politics. I'm not into politics. I have no idea what they are. I don't even know their positions' names.
I
Okay.
failed every citizenship test in school. Like I have no brain or understanding of government and politics myself. So anyway, keep
Yes.
going.
So let's make that clear, because whenever you talk about these kind of things, people start, you know, negative comments. No, I'm not talking about that. I am talking about timelines right now. Which timeline do we want to choose? Do we want to choose the most organic timeline for the positive collective, where that is not that is not archonic? Or are we going to go with the archonic timeline? Because of the Divine Mother's fractalizations, and the Divine Mother fractalizations are within the collective. Same for Yeshua and Jesus and all these beautiful benevolent beings. We all contain fractals of someone within, integrated at some point in time divinely within our higher self's permission always. We all carry something within our essence and our blueprints. So because we have the higher amount of light, we have seen that they had to basically falsify votes. So with that is because we voted once more T into a second residency. Now, with that, they are panicking because in the second residency, things are going to go down. Okay, so they are fighting with all that they can to divide. Their archons are fighting, they're separating the spiritual communities from one another, families, and all of it is basically being fed to us so that they can divide us, so that we won't be the collective light holding up the space for the positive, so that we won't be the percentage for the positive timeline. Were you going to ask something?
Yeah. So when you look at where we are right now, what encouraging words can you give us about where this is all going? Kind of like a worst case scenario. What is there, a bifurcation, like a split of the timelines, or best case scenario, we see a big global awakening that's mass scale, and there's going to be divine justice and justice happening over the fraudulent election.
Yes. So what we're seeing is, though we as a collective within speaker holders of light love, we basically need to stop allowing them to divide us, playing this extreme intelligent game. Stop allowing that. Okay. And we need to join together. So basically what the negative timeline to come forth, if you choose with B, that timeline is going to look worse than what it is right now. And right now, as we know, it is pretty horrible. We cannot even go to a restaurant. We can't, there's people losing jobs, people losing businesses, children wearing masks at school. That is ridiculous. That is dictatorship, tyrannical, it's socialism, it's you name it. So it will get worse than that. They're going to bring forth, so this is a timeline that the Galactic showed me, okay? They're going to bring forth, that's going to get worse. They're going to put everyone on lockdown. After that, then they're going to, basically what they're trying to do is, I've been told by my listeners, is that, for example, like the UK and other countries, they have some of these countries, they're telling the children, basically they're separating the children. Okay, what does that remind you of? World War II, Hitler. Okay, then they're telling them that they're going to have to get the shot to go to school, the COVID shot that they made, which I'm going to tell you what it is in a second. So then someone told me that they have a barcode for them, and they're going to keep tabs through this barcode.
Is that like the mark of the beast, would you say?
Yes. It's going to get worse. It's going to be World War II. If we allow this as light workers, because we're awakened. Yes, not all of us are in a specific, everyone goes through a process of ascending consciousness, of awakening. But if you are listening to this video, understand that we are trying to evade this false archonic timeline. We must work with integrity and honesty. And doing these things to children and people, and no matter what race we are, it's not even part of our construct. It's not even part of our universe. These are organic, false programming that they have through the government, through the control of the earth.
But inorganic, right? Yeah.
Yes, these are, inorganic, that they have throughout all of earth. So right now, we are in the USA, we are the light holders of the earth. We are, because we basically are holding the collective light. We are the only ones that are not being ran by the Illuminati. Specifically, we don't have a leader that is the Illuminati. So all the rest of the earth is being ran by bees, by the bee guy and the Illuminati. Now, of course, there might be some good ones, of course, along the way, but we are the ones that are basically here to assist, never as saviors, because all we talk about is, we never talk about saviors. We talk about us being our own saviors out of this inverted matrix. So we have to stop allowing this division. We also, if you've been a light worker that is very much of neutrality, where you believe oneness of light and dark, that is beautiful. And yes, that was exactly how it was before the Archons came in. But right now, we need to work with an understanding that there is darkness and there is light. And then, of course, the darkness is artificial Archon, is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the organic darkness. I'm talking about the artificial.
Right. It's like the difference between black goo. There's organic black goo and non-organic. Like
exactly.
There's AI, period.
Exactly.
And there's the organic light and dark. So basically you're saying that the bee, which is the person that's claiming to have won the presidency who hasn't yet, I mean, this type of character is spread throughout the whole world. That's why we're seeing such mandates and lockdowns all over Europe and Australia and stuff like that. And, obviously the tentacles have spread to every power structure that exists pretty much. So basically what you're saying is T, the one that has been in the White House, he represents the positive timeline. He's not connected at all to deep state. And so you mentioned some other person saying that they didn't feel he was a light worker, but from what you're telling me, you're saying he absolutely is. And can you
He
talk maybe a little bit more about
absolutely,
him as a light worker that you know?
he absolutely is. The clues are there. Now, the clues are there where he talks about basically making a wall from Mexico. Did you know that one of their highest human trafficking, child trafficking, is actually abducting children and people trying to cross the border? And they're taking them by the thousands. Okay, so this is what he's talking about. So he's giving us subliminal things that we need to basically start going in our hearts and understanding. If we want clues of this negative timeline, that B is a negative timeline, we are going to enter another World War II where Hitler is reign, and that is a negative polarized timeline. Okay, we're talking about terrorism. They're going to try to have terrorism here.
Oh yeah,
masking it, that it's basically T when it's not, things like that. So we need to be very cautious.
All the blame put on him. But how are we able to come together though if, I mean, the light and this positive timeline, you know, has the upper hand? There's all this violence and terrorism and looting and rioting and violence and hatred coming from, it's like, how can those individuals be enlightened? It's like, if they haven't gotten it by now, is there any hope that they are going to snap out of this?
Well, just the fact, Laura, that we basically did vote him in because they're falsifying votes, that tells you that the collective voted him in, because that is the organic timeline. Okay, so the collective did vote him in, whether they're awakened or not, he was voted in. Okay, so the Galactics, which is the Unity Galactics, is basically all the councils working together, the Raw Collective, basically all of us working together, and all the different benevolent alien races. Basically, we're all aliens, you know, we're all benevolent beings from the stars. It will continue to rise itself. Our goal is that the fact that we have to hold hope. Where there is hope, there is love, and love is infinite. Okay, so we need to not just hold love. Now, I know it sounds a bit corny, but that is the key, because it gives us, love is what gives us life force everywhere. This universe is actually constructed by love. People, other beings come from other universes to come here just to experience love. So we have to hold the very fabric that holds this beautiful universe together. We have to hold that love, and we have to not give up hope, and stop dividing, stop judging one another, stop. We need to basically work together and start reading with our hearts versus our minds.
It can be very difficult because they end up, you know, they put plants in communities to disrupt everything. I mean, I feel like that's definitely taken place. Things aren't what they used to be as far as feeling, you know, a really tight community. So, and then all the censorship is insane. So, but despite all that, love is regenerative, and it will continue to find its, you know, stay in that frequency and create, you know, kind of unity. But yeah, so where do you kind of see this all going? Do you see this going to Supreme Court and justice happening, or do you feel like we're going to experience some of this really dark timeline? I mean, what do you feel is ahead?
So do you remember our last last chat that we had? You had asked me how long was the COVID going to last, and then we said about.
I don't even remember that conversation. We've talked since all this came out.
We haven't talked since then.
No.
Since when the COVID came out. So that's when we talked, and you had asked how long was it going to last, and then we had said that basically not last, but like how long the COVID was going to be harmful to people. And then what we said was basically it was going to be about a month or two where people were going to become immune to it. It's going to become like a common cold. Okay. So we started seeing that within a month or two after we had spoken, and we were seeing hospitals were empty. They were falsifying tests. Doctors were coming up saying that, you know, that basically the COVID was Yes, of course it was AI because they created the artificial intelligence virus. They did. Those same leaders that we talked about from Atlantis, all of them created that virus basically to minimize the population of Earth, minimize the light. That, and the way that it came in was through the flu shots last year. Okay, so it came in and then it kept spreading like a virus, and then also a combination of 5G. So there's many things that happen, but what I'm trying to say is that the collective, made ourselves immune to COVID. It took us a couple months, but we did it because we did not consent to it. It was not part of the organic, say, timeline. So because of that, the beautiful fractals so Dolores Cannon talked about, and in case you're not familiar with Dolores Cannon, she's passed now, but she is the founder of QHHT. She talked about how through her books, she and also her daughter Julia Cannon went on Gaia TV, and she was saying that her mother had explained that Isis was going to be the one that was going to, the Isis energy was going to be what was going to bring forth ascension. So let me go a little more in depth to that. It's not just Isis. It's basically, like I said, all the Divine Mother fractalizations. So what happens is that there's a vast amount of Divine Mother fractalizations. And I'm not talking about just because also masculine can carry feminine within them, right? Because they have feminine, masculine. So it will, no matter what, it will keep writing itself, just like COVID righted itself. The divine feminine, the divine mothers of energies, and we're all fractalizations of the divine mother, these, and divine father's source, collective energy. It will keep writing itself. And we've reached basically the peak collective light and peak fractals of divine mother energy on Earth. So therefore, these divine mothers basically are what write the timeline, so they can try to put their false narrative, false negative timeline upon us. But so long as we continue, all of us, to hold the love light and stop being divided, we will write it back up, just like we basically transmuted the COVID, even though they're still, with their falseness. We will write this timeline once more.
Yep, I totally feel that. And that's just kind of how it works. I mean, and this is how it's kind of always been. And I just did a presentation about what I call the override frequency, that energy that, exceeds this lower archonic system that is organic. And we are in an ascension window period, and the mother energy is anchored back to this earth in ways that haven't been there for a long time. And, with the 13th sign of Theakis coming in. So this is what keeps me going, because I know this is the truth. This is why I didn't want to be taken off planet either, because I have a mission here, and it's all about the mother energy. And this is what really connects us, because we both are very immersed in that knowingness throughout our whole life. This is what the mission is. This is what we're here for. And everybody, carries it. And so, yeah, so they'll keep throwing whatever they possibly can in order to, kind of trip us up. But it's very clear that the reason that there were falsities with the voting is because it would have been a victory for T. And so now it's just about the just hoping that the court systems and wherever this needs to go, because I don't see anybody quitting, that justice, takes place. But because they're going to retaliate, because they don't want to see this kind of victory, what can we be kind of prepared for? Any warnings or anything that?
So I just be cautious with everything that I speak of. So basically, once we start seeing that there's some chaos going on and that they think that they've won, that is when we hold our strongest love. And we start being the embodiment of the source love light that we are. And we start echoing out, running it through infinitely through us, because love light is infinite. And you run it through and you run it through and you send it out with waves, and you stand your ground as the light warriors we are, and you hold your shields up with your swords and you do not let them down. There's a big misconception with neutrality where people feel like, oh, since we're all one, no, I don't believe in those, those negative entities and archons. I don't believe in that stuff. I believe we're all one. If you say we are one with the, are you saying one with you're one with the archons, the artificial? See, that's another trickery way where they basically compromise you and they infringe upon you. We've removed implants from people that their consciousness was being replaced, and it was about to be replaced, and basically they removed the negative implant. So you have to be very cautious of what you're saying. So no more, yes, no more neutrality. This is how they get you. More like balance of both negative and positive, and understanding and respecting one another's differences. We are multifaceted of differences. There's something, basically there is something that I do with my students when we go to, I've been working all year long. I've been traveling all year long in the US, doing retreats, holding love and space so that we can heal Mother Earth. As we're traveling, basically, we have to understand this. This is very important so that we can stop judging one another. When we look upon at late at night after training on aura hypnosis, basically, I have them all sit around the fire. They all look at the fire, and I ask them what flame, and we go one by one. What color is the flame? One of them says green. The other one says gold. The other one says red, orange. The other one says violet. Why is everyone looking at the same? And you all can try this out at home as well with your families. Why is everyone looking at the same exact fire but seeing different colors? And the reason is because we are a multitude of beautiful perspectives and expressions of the universe. The same reason why we came in here into this matrix, because we wanted to be together in unity consciousness, true unity consciousness, and vibe off one another and share each other's experience from a different dimension, from another universe. We have to start learning to stop allowing division and instead remembering the beauties that we are in the infinities of multifacets that we are. Everyone, because we are all seeing from a perspective of a soul origins.
Well, the little bit of tech issues, I think it's on my side. It says my internet's unstable. This is all their tactics with the psychological operations to create the division. I mean, like when you look at BLM and all this kind of stuff, and just the suppression of, and how people are turning into like the deputies, where they're calling cops on each other. And, it's like they've recruited quite a bit of the human race. I mean, I know that the numbers are larger for the ones that are awakened and more conscious, but it's amazing to go into town or to see some of these stories of, so many people that uphold this false narrative, that are literally being hooked in by fear. Would you say, so you saying most of the time that's due to an implant or just, it's basically through the media brainwashing? I mean, like what clarity can you bring to just those that like literally can't snap out of it? It's like, where's their soul essence trying to get their attention? Where's their intuition? I mean, I guess they're just sucked into the TV, but I mean, implants too, right? So.
Yes, you pretty much said it all, Laura. Programming of the TV, programming of the movies, starting from childhood, little babies watching these movies that are inappropriate and, subliminal, hypnotic, messages in the background. Some of these well-known, I won't say label, but, there's parts where they have, say, sex written in the background and these children are watching it. So it's many ways that they're basically working through the psychological, neurological system of us and brainwashing us, programming us. How specifically though, the biotech, the nanotech that they use is beyond what we realize. They have implants,
but that's connected to breathing in the stuff they've been spraying in the sky, right?
Yes, but also when you're sleeping, they love to do that. When you are in the delta brainwave, if you don't set intentions that you do not consent, they can actually, if you go to sleep without using, I teach to use your own source energy and put it around you, like a bubble, a Merkaba, a pyramid, whatever you want to use, a Metatron cubic star, flower of life, before bed. That's what I teach. So if you don't have force fields and you're not saying you do not consent when you are sleeping, they can actually start infringing upon you. There's, for example, this COVID shot that they're trying to give to people. Basically, I can tell you what it looks like. What it is. It is the most advanced type of nanotechnology that they have out there. Now, this nanotechnology basically is going to go into the consciousness. It goes into the consciousness, and then it's archonic, created by the Archons, because the Archons are downloading this to the scientists, whoever creates these shots. They're downloading this, okay? And what it does, it goes in and attached to the cells and the consciousness. And then all of a sudden it compromises it. And you can say that it basically puts, say, the consciousness in a box of sorts. And then they're able to control it with ease, because now they are this artificial type of intelligence, consciousness that has integrated into their consciousness. That's their goal. Now, of course, we do have natural, though, protection to that. The people who perhaps we haven't been able to get to, and they get the shot, and there are guides, so long as they practice some form of, perhaps you can say, prayer. If they're unawakened, perhaps they practice some kind of prayer, some kind of meditation. That their guides, their higher self, can protect them from that, but it's not a guarantee if they're giving consent to it, because the benevolent beings cannot overstep boundaries if they're not giving consent to it.
So say you did get a shot, and then you realize, oh my gosh, you can work with your higher self and source energy and spirit and your guides to correct some of this, but because
100%.
there's some kind of consent, the damage starts to rapidly begin to take place. So that would be very difficult. So the hope is that we don't have to go there at all. But what would you say happens to the human? Do they turn into like a EBE over the course of time? Is that, when we look at some of these beings and these different sort of hive mind sort of automations, is that basically what these kind of shots can turn humans into? Like what do we end up becoming?
So the easiest way I can explain is that we all basically we were unawakened at some point, right? And do you remember when you were unawakened and you basically were very clouded? You were controlled. You probably made decisions that made absolutely no sense, in your time and space. So it feels like that, like someone's making your choices for you, no matter how hard you try to break the inverted negative AI cycles. You keep making those false choices over and over, getting yourself, say, into false negative narratives and timelines. That's what it would be like. And this person would carry basically a strong density of darkness within them that would be artificial versus more light. They would look a bit controlled and empty. They would feel a bit empty of light, very dim light. Okay. So I just had a session that I brought out basically on my YouTube channel, where there is, the minute the child gets born, they give them this shot. This shot, basically explained through the person's past life regression, is this Archon scientist man made this shot that is etherically somewhere out there. And because the parents give consent for all their children to get this shot the minute that they're born, because they tell them that it's for Giannis or whatever they make up, and then because they give consent, they give them the shot. And then the minute that happens is that their pineal gland, their third eye, their pituitary gland, their third eye basically goes to this holding space of artificial room that is held there. And then basically their third eye is compromised, and it's hard to understand, but basically they have their third eye here physically, but their actual energetic third eye is out there somewhere. You could watch that session to understand that.
Are you kind of saying like it's siphoned and harvested? Because we know
exactly
harvesting,
so it could be siphoned and controlled.
Right. And obviously the Archons have created the matrix to be a parasitic harvesting system, right?
Yes, exactly. It is them who created it into this. The Archons are no one else but them, the inorganic.
Okay, and then this particular group of reptilians, they recruited. But when you say like contract, I mean, I can't imagine that they signed something, but they just recruited them or appealed to them, and then they just made some kind of agreement, and then they started to lose their true organic nature, and they became a reptilian AI, right? Trying to bring it back to the beginning again. But is that kind of the way that people can walk away and kind of make sense out of it, in case that was kind of going over their head a little in the beginning? And then they have their hybrids on Earth that get the downloads. And then we got, secret space programs and different things and projects. And then the ritual abuse. I mean, what is it like to grow? I mean, I know, but just for our audience, I mean, to be born into that, you're basically kind of recruited in based in the bloodlines that you're a part of this ancient pact to be very immersed in the AI from the very, very beginning. I mean, so when we see somebody like B and some of these others, I mean, are there many alters? Are they not in possession of themselves? Are they clones? I mean, how would you describe what a Cabal family member who's in a leadership position really is made of? And take us a little into that.
It'd be similar to a reptilian, basically. So they have their
the AI reptilian, not the benevolent.
The AI, yes, thank you. AI reptilian, they're compromised. So their consciousness has been locked through negative ritual, black magic. The minute that they basically are come into through all the forms of the governed elite, the deep state. So they are puppets. They are basically just let me see how to answer that. They're similar to the AI reptilians that they're being controlled. It's the easiest way I can explain it. They're not letting me say more than that.
Right. So the reptilians that ended up getting overtaken by the AI, because it's definite that the Draco reptilian agenda is connected to AI. Is there any way that they can come back to themselves? And I mean, can we somehow, I mean, does the positive timeline, does it not have any Archons? I mean, is there a way to be free of Archons?
Positive timelines are free of Archons.
Are there ways for some of these beings to restore themselves and come back out of the AI, you think?
Yes, so that is the goal. So for example, one of the goals, they call me, I guess, a spiritual revolutionist, because basically what we are doing is that we hold space and love for all of them. So what we're doing is we're basically helping positive polarized entities and people. Once you go into the theta brainwave, your higher self will start talking. Your soul will, that consciousness that's been guiding you all your life will start talking, will start telling you, oh yeah, she has a reptilian in her heart because when she was young, she was abandoned by her mother. And then that allowed the reptilian consciousness. It's a consciousness of a reptilian that came in and attached. So it's similar like that. They're just basically compromised souls, the deep state. They're compromised souls that have negative polarizations, attachments of Archons, reptilians inside of them, and also contracts. Now the contracts are basically, it is like an agreement, but it is, you can say your soul does kind of sign an energy somewhere in the ether agreement with the Archons, consciously or unconsciously. So that's what we have to be within our power. No more victim mentality. We have to take our sovereignty back and not allow these compromise false timelines to keep occurring to us and the collective. So yes, the timeline does look organic. What I can tell you is that when ascension comes forth, Archons will be wiped out.
Great. So when we look at certain species of greys, though, some have said that they were once humans and now they're greys. So is that all part of the shots, the AI? I mean, isn't that the goal? Is that humans being assimilated into AI will become like a hive mind gray race? That's
what they would like to do? Absolutely controllable. And then the light that remains within us, they could just keep using us like the movie Matrix, negatively harvesting us for our light.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but you definitely, I mean, it's obvious that as a collective, we are leaning towards the positive timeline. We're moving into a positive timeline. These are going to be really, really crazy times though, because they're fighting for their life. to be able to steal our life force. They're fighting to be able to, continue this massive theft.
And the main reason why they're fighting, Laura, is because they can't hold the vibration anymore. Because they're an absence of light. They can't be here anymore. That's why. Because their soul, you can say, is literally in jeopardy, because it's about to be zeroed out and transmuted straight back to wherever it came from, back to source, or wherever it's going to be neutralized, eradicated out. So that's why they're fighting, because they can't stand being around people with too much love light. We are the biggest weapon. Our love and our light is the weapon, because when our love light, infinite love light touches upon them, it actually completely transmutes them and neutralizes them to zero. It makes them a void.
Yeah, totally. And I'm just so glad you said that, because that is one of the biggest points right there, is that energy, because it can't be harvested, because it's a part of how we, are able to protect ourselves. Yeah. I mean, that's part of, it breaks that relationship. There's no longer unconscious consent or conscious consent to, because they become the attachments. They become the living attachments, where the dependency on the governments grow as they try and put out all this fear and all these psychological operations to bind people based in those lower level emotions of anxiety, fear, and separation with these funded movements. So they become like the entity attachment. And when it's like, and that's why, the hope is, and what's really scary is seeing some of the people, they don't understand what's happened to the left. They don't understand that the Democratic Party is not what it used to be. So that's been totally infiltrated. I mean, can you talk to us a little bit about maybe that, or anything that maybe we haven't talked about that you really, want to talk about? Because I know, we got to keep our eye on the time, but wouldn't you say that party's been absolutely infiltrated by Archons?
Completely. We have, those different scandals, like the Pizzagate. We all know the truth to it. They can try to make, for example, T look like he's ridiculous, but he's giving us those clues even through speeches of talking about how C, the one he was running up against in the first presidency, how, she was basically taking all of Hades. There's videos out there where they're talking about this. So the clues are there for us. When are we going to stop allowing our Archon false artificial programming to sway us? We need to stop doing this, because it's not even of us. It's not of us. We need to transmute that, completely remove it. And yes, the left is for sure. I'm not going to say all of the, the say Republican party is all positive. I'm not going to say that, but they seem to be holding a stronger light versus the other, and versus us being, say, red and blue. Why don't we combine that and make purple?
I was just thinking that too, of when I was looking at the map in the election. I'm just like, we just blend all these colors, and and
what if we light workers just turn it to purple and we transmute the crap out of it, and just like, seriously, guys, let's do what we came here for. We have fallen back. We volunteered to come into Earth, and then we have fallen back into those false AI archonic, right back into it, and we're trapped within those trappings. Let's support each other. Let's love each other.
I know.
Please.
Well, the thing is that's what makes it real hard, because we are seeing the timelines working through two different individuals that are labeled two different parties, but people have to like remove that veil, because they use the political system to divide us. But this election is like no other, because it's not about right or left. This is about negative AI timeline, dark timeline, or having our rights and freedoms protected so that we can move into the positive timeline. So I just look at the T guy, he's not a gatekeeper, and the B guy is, and he's creating this kind of change. We got to get out of the political spectrum of it all, because if we don't see the larger picture, then it's really impossible. And it's just amazing, because a lot of the people that have bought into the ideology of the left don't realize that it's been infiltrated. It's communist, it's New World Order, and they're changing. That's why it's so hard for people to stay in friendships and with people that have chosen that. There's a dark energy about them. They're impossible to talk to. They give zero respect.
Exactly.
You know, and I just see the other side, and I don't like to be based in division, but it's not about the T guy. It's about your frequency that are loving and forgiving and just doing the best that they can just to warn you and try and protect you. And it's been completely misunderstood.
That is exactly what it's like, Laura. I love that you brought that up. When you are observing, feeling vibration, you will see that the T are more open and more kind. And then you will see the B are, I was watching someone telling someone from, I was watching a video, they were telling them your mother should have aborted you. What? Who says that to another person, no matter who you are? That is not okay.
No, it's just
And
it's really
they don't
bad.
realize, the B voters do not realize that they voted off hate. They made a decision, a vibrational decision, voting off because you were programmed to hate someone. And that is not okay. You should never make a decision off hate. Every time whatever you decide upon, whatever vibration, the decision you made upon will match its outcome, will match it. So you have to be very careful because we're multidimensional beings. And if you are deciding to stay neutral and not help, say, for example, those of us who are speaking, or those of us who basically are trying to bring truth, you can enter a consciousness of you in a convoluted way can enter this negative timeline. So when, for example, when this organic timeline comes into fruition, you can accidentally enter that false one, where it does become into World War II Hitler times, and it's ran by those people we talked about.
Yeah. I mean, I even had an ex who is very much on the left. And when he saw that my account got taken down on Facebook, I saw under the comments that he was like saying, good, you know, I'm glad they took her down because of the stuff that I talk about. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I mean, even somebody that I had years of my life with, I'm just like shocking. It just makes me ill. So, I mean, do you see a bifurcation of these people
But
are?
that's the disease, not the disease, but that is right there. That tells you that they're under a virus.
That they actually support
Exactly.
the lack of freedom of speech and censorship. They think that that's
Exactly.
okay response.
And that's where you know that they're being archonic, led by a archonic virus.
Because they're actually standing for suppression. It's like only you're allowed to agree with them. If you don't, then you should be taken down. What kind of mentality agrees with any form of censorship? It's like, I don't care if you don't agree with me, but you have the right to speak. Anyway, I don't want to hear them. I can unfriend them. You know, I don't want to hear, you know, but do I agree with them being censored and banned? No. So the vibration is so low and so dark, and people don't realize what they're becoming. I even posted on Twitter. I'm like, they're like demonic children. They're acting like demonic children. It's really, you know, quite sad. Do you think though there's a bifurcation that they're going to, because they've gotten so immersed and hooked into it, that they're going to live out this dark timeline and we're going to be able to be on our positive trajectory? Do you see a split, or do you see a big awakening in those folks snapping out of it, or it could be one or both, or
all of those, unfortunately, because creation is infinite and it's multidimensional. So it depends what timeline do we choose, individually or as a collective. Okay. Now it is convoluted. There's no telling. However, what I can tell you is that yes, the organic timeline is meant to come forth. We've seen it. We sensed it. From basically T is what I was been shown is basically he had a benevolent walk-in, but they've been working on it since the beginning of his birth. But right before his elections, he had a benevolent walk-in of Archangel Metatron, which is basically Saint Germain. Saint Germain is, now I'm talking about more of a spiritual point of view, is basically a fractal of Metatron. So when you're looking at a benevolent being, and they've been showing me and talking to me and showing me different dreams of what he is in comparison, it's a huge difference. So yes, I'm a believer. I will always hold hope, no matter the opposite. And I believe, yes, that we will enter a positive organic timeline as is meant to, and we have to wait patiently, but we have to hold that love light until it's time when it actually happens coming up in January.
Beautiful. So good. Oh, wow. The colors have changed. The sun is going down and everything looks.
And you look golden and beautiful.
But yeah, so anything we didn't cover that you want to bring up before we close?
The reason why we're here is, remember, we came here as warriors, as volunteers, to help the collective that was stuck here, right, in this inverted matrix. And then we were supposed to ensure that we didn't get stuck here as well. So we are here to remind you that do not allow yourself to get stuck. Activate your heart. Operate from a heart frequency as much as you possibly can. And if you feel your heart is blocked, learn to self-heal yourself. Work within yourself. You are the you here because the past you has gone through all these lessons and experiences. And the you here is the strongest version of all the past yous, because the past you has lived perhaps death. The past you has lived murder. Perhaps the past you has lived sorrow. So you here are the strongest benevolence of you, because you are the combination of all past lessons learned. Learn to learn your lessons. Learn to take your power back and stand in it, and also emanate that out to everyone you meet. Even if you see a person that is hateful, that perhaps is like B and that party, send them love. And if you are a supporter of B, we challenge you. Learn to not hate on others. Learn to love everyone, no matter their points of views and expressions, because we are all viewing from a different lens, as we talked about through the fire. This is how they divide us, no matter who you are. Let's not be divided. Let's rise together, join together and rise. United, we stand. Divided, we fall. Let's rise. Activate your heart. Activate others' heart. Operating from love, infinite love. We are all these beauties. All of us are. Do not forget the mission. Do not forget the mission. We're not here to get stuck here with everyone. We're here to remove the parasite that infringed upon this matrix. That's what we're here to do. And we're here to love one another and remember what we were before this archonic virus.
Right. And just thank you. That was beautiful. So I don't know. I mean, is there really any way to explain how the Archons came in? Was it because it's a free will universe and the differentiation of the masculine and feminine opened up some sort of portal for these parasites to come through? I mean, just to close.
We didn't open nothing. Their negative technologies ripped through universes.
Right. They know how to do that. Yeah.
They did it with the negative technology. This wasn't so we first of all need to also remove false, because they've been telling us angels are the bad guys. They have you stuck here. They've been telling you, yeah, it's your fault why you're like this. No, these are false paradigms, false belief systems that they are lying to us.
Exactly.
Divine Mother, Divine Father love you with all that they can fathom, and they are infinity.
Right.
I love you. You love you. We all love each other. Those are lies.
I know. Well,
Deprogram yourself.
Well, there have been rulers, but they are either infected by the AI or they're representing the archonic sort of agenda and have been the false beings. But yeah, the much, much larger picture is full of unconditional love and benevolence. And that's the most important thing, is that we reconnect with that. And it's the thing too, exactly what you said. What really lit up for me is, you know, when people watch a video too, they got to notice, like, what is their reaction? Is their comment going to be rude? Is it going to be belittling? I mean, you know, people they don't pay enough attention to their spiritual hygiene or the kind of energy that they're transmitting to people. So even in the smallest of ways, we got to raise that vibration, because some people are, you know, good people, but they can still be very rude and subtly insulting. You know what I mean? So, I mean, everybody needs to step it up. We need to be kind and compassionate to each other.
Yes, but also being boundaries. like for you said, like you said, listening to someone, there is many of these, say, gatherings of spiritual groups basically are being ran by the deep state themselves. Okay, so being boundaries of not looking for answers, say yes, studying from the infinity fractalizations of creation, which is all of us, but yet also looking for answers from within.
Definitely.
You are the universe. You are the universe. The universe is you. All is found within you. We need to stop looking outside of us and look inwards and work inwards. When we basically are the embodiment and heal the inwards, then we will heal the outwards.
Oh my gosh, that's like one of the main things I focus on in all my talks is exactly what you just said right there. And there's so much more to us than we can imagine. Dormant strands of DNA, galactic chakras. I mean, there's such a huge picture that we're like really needing to step into. But I mean, there was some sort of dark polarity to help us in this free will experience to wake up. But the Archons are a completely different thing, you're saying, right?
Exactly. So there was an organic polarity, dark and light, which is why this universe was so beautiful and popular, because we could come here and express ourselves through mirrors and facets of one of
and
each
learn
other.
through cosmic natural law.
Exactly.
Cosmic
but
natural
then
law.
What they actually did, the Archons, is that they went into the dark matter of the darkness and inserted it with archonic programming and viruses. So then they grabbed the dark matter in a scientific point of way and parasitically infested it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Totally. Of course. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because so because I'm in this kind of field and I put together presentations. When I interview, I try and ask questions that I know that maybe other people might have to be able to make sure that they can connect the dots, and it's just incredible to talk to you. Anything you want to share?
That it is for you as well.
Anything about anything you have coming up, or want to say your website again, or anything?
Yes, well, we have a retreat basically in New Orleans where we're healing Mother Earth, as well as we're teaching people how to, what we talked about, entity removal, removing and implants. So we have that retreat in New Orleans, December 9th. If you would love to join us, we would love to have you there. And basically we talked about the matrix here in that retreat. Basically we talk about even more sensitive things that I can't even say to the public, which we go in depth of the matrix. So love to see you there. Otherwise, follow me. I don't like the word follow. Actually, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. I'm almost at the 8,000 subscribers. Love to see you there and watch our videos. They are advertisement free, so you could stream them. There's no advertising on them, and over 300 of them, and they basically will help you piece these pieces of the puzzle of the real galactic's history, not the archonic one, the organic history of the universe through our videos. Thank you so much, Laura. You are an inspiration. I know that we do this and that we hear this often from others, but Laura, I have to tell you, you are a gem. You are beautiful, and everything that you do every day, you work so hard. I want you to know that we all feel it. Thank you for being you.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and you work so hard too, and just the beautiful light that you carry and just everything that you embody. So appreciative. It's been amazing to spend this time with you. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And if you just want to hang on, I'm going to stop the recording, and much love everybody. Take care.